You can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's begin with cancer. Part of the objectives is to distinguish between benign and malignant tumors or cancer. Regardless of the type, they have one thing in common. Regardless if we're talking about blood cancer or a solid organ cancer, doesn't matter. All of them have one characteristic, which is uncontrolled growth, and as a result of that, they will interfere with the function of the normal cells growing around them. They typically serve no physiologic purpose, so they're basically parasites that are on board for free lodging, free food. They are still having some basic differences in their characteristics. So we'll, like I said, we will distinguish between that. As far as cancer development, there are many causes. Some of them we know, some of them we will continue to discover. California has the largest list of known carcinogens in all of the United States. So you'll see more substances being banned in that state, which are otherwise still legal in the rest of the country. There's not one cause of cancer. It's number one risk factor is age. As we grow old, we have more cells that mutate. We have less immune response. As you may have learned previously, our natural killer cells, we have certain T lymphocytes that kill cancer cells, meaning they can recognize mutated cells and then destroy them. When we grow old, obviously that immune function declines, so it increases our risk for the cancer development. Let's discuss one concept. So I mentioned about mutation, right? So during our embryonic development, we have what's called fetal oncogenes. Oncogenes by themselves are not cancerous. It just means that, imagine you were one cell, okay, before your mom and dad met. You were one single cell organism. You were an egg, okay, you were an ovum, and then your mom had a fertile day, and then one out of millions of sperm fertilized that egg, and then you became you. So you went from one cell to 2 to 4 to 16 and so on. So you can just imagine the amount of growth you had while you were a developing embryo. So in the same way, it resembles the characteristics of a cancer cell. At that point in time, though, these are what we call oncogenes. So oncogenes are needed for cell growth and maturation. So during fetal development, again, these are absolutely normal. It also continued that number as a newborn. So when you're a baby, you're growing. Again, look at the growth of a baby during the first year of life. How much do they grow by? They were born, let's say, 19 inches, 20 inches. How much do they grow by the end of their first year? They go from 20 inches to like 40 inches, right? So does that resemble cancer growth? Kind of, right? Because there's no other time during our life cycle that we grow that fast. But again, that's not necessarily cancer. So we have oncogenes as an embryo, as a fetus, and as a small child. That's what we call, um, these are normal oncogenes. But in all respects, like oncology, oncogenes, what makes the balance though, what keeps the balance is also what we call suppressor genes. So we have oncogenes and then we have suppressor genes. I already described that oncogenes are not cancer, but because of their property, can they potentially become cancerous? Yes, absolutely. Because of that, the best way I can describe this is, let's say a car. The gas pedal is the oncogene, which is necessary to develop cells, make them grow, make you grow. And then we have suppressor genes, which is like the brake pedal. So you have the gas and the brake. So to prevent oncogenes from overexpressing itself and becoming cancer tumors, we have suppressor genes, which will stop them from doing so. So as long as that delicate balance is there, we have oncogenes and then we have suppressor genes and they're in the right balance, we don't get cancer. It's it's when we get exposed to certain substances, for instance, that's what we call carcinogens now, right here. So carcinogens can be chemicals, they can be food, it could be pollutants, for instance, name it, whatever. Drugs are also, some drugs are also cancerous, right? Or carcinogens. Or radiation, for instance. The very treatment we use for cancer, for treating cancer, is also a carcinogen. So when exposed to carcinogens, our oncogenes have the potential to mutate and become cancer cells. Are you with me so far? Right. So therefore, the balance there between oncogenes and suppressor genes are now disturbed because of exposure to a carcinogen. So it takes a trigger, something disturb the balance between oncogenes and suppressor genes. These typically increase over time. Like I said, age is the number one risk factor. As we get older, we get higher chance of developing cancer. There's a nice figure, not this one. Let me see if I can. Table 13.1 is from the American Cancer Society. I'll take you to that website, cancer.org. Can you see the website?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try if we can find it. Cancer case statistics 2019. Yes.
Jordana's asking to let her in.
Uh, okay, I give up. I can't find it. Okay. I would basically what I'm trying to show you was the figure because it's better if it's in a picture. But anyway, let's make table 13.1 work. This one is 2014. The cancer statistics, which shows you new cases and mortality, is published around May of each year. So it's already October, so we should have 2019 statistics already. But during the last 10 years, the numbers haven't really changed. It did change because I was first aware of this website in 2008. Then the statistics were different. In 2008, lung and bronchus was number one for male and female. Now it's prostate and breast. Now take note, this is only statistics, okay? New cases. This does not tell you how many people died and what type of cancer they died from. These are just cases. So let's stay with the case first. So you'll be surprised, although there are rising cases of prostate and breast cancer, respectively, in each gender, then followed by lung and bronchial cancer, and then colorectal cancer, followed by bladder and melanoma in males, and then in the female, next to number 4 comes in uterine cancer, and then thyroid. The number one killer is not prostate and breast. These people die, more people die from lung and bronchial cancer. What does that tell you about cancer treatment? What is the conclusion? So let's say you are a health policy official. Let's say you work in government, or let's say you're a some insurance company CEO. Because these people matter because they're the ones driving health policy and payment in the United States. What will you say based on the statistics? What does this data tell you? Because let's face it, is cancer management expensive? Very expensive. So if you have this data, more people have prostate and breast cancer, followed by lung and colorectal cancer. But then the number one killer, these patients don't die from prostate and breast. They're dying from lung cancer and colorectal cancer. So as a matter of everything's a business, okay? Let's face it. Everyone's trying to make money and save money. What is your policy going to be? How do you make the most money? Do you want to spend money on cancer, or do you want people who are covered by your insurance to prevent them? It's cheaper to prevent it. So because these are the top three, are you going to cover mammograms? You won't cover mammograms? You'd wait for them to get sick and then treat it?
Yes.
No, you will cover it.
But
Yeah,
you have to
that
wait
makes the most financial sense, right?
Right.
Exactly, right. Yeah, so if I were a insurance CEO, yeah, we'll cover that because we're seeing a lot of cases. Let's cover preventative medicine. Okay, I don't want to spend money treating, spending chemo and radiation and cosmetic surgery for these breast cancers or this prostate cancer. Yeah, let's pay for that. Right? So these are how these, how American Cancer Society does the research. They're funded publicly and partly by the government, and then they give us this information. Everybody's using them. Okay, so we need these facts and figures to drive health policy, to allocate funds, and everything else we're doing. Let's say we're doing breast cancer walks, right? Every year we have breast cancer awareness month. So everything we're doing is working, right, based on the statistics. So let's keep it going. All right. So these are the risk factors for cancer. Some of them are preventable. You stay away from too much steak, for instance. Stop smoking. You drink alcohol in moderation. You have vaccinations. What are the preventable um, cancers, therefore, prevented by vaccine? Can you name some? Okay, we have the HPV vaccine, right? Can hepatitis cause liver cancer? Yeah, so can we vaccinate against Hep B? Yeah, so that's when you say um, it's not only protecting you from hepatitis B virus, but also from cancer, liver cancer. What else? We have um, besides HPV, what's another vaccine that could prevent us from getting cancer? Because HPV is known to cause anorectal cancer. Yeah, anal and rectal cancer, and also not to mention cervical cancer. Um, we also have the sun, okay, causing melanoma. So using sunscreen is already cancer prevention. Age, nothing we can do about that. Definitely lifestyle, especially smoking, and then better diet can help us prevent cancer. We'll look at the um, oldest acronym shortly. So let's discuss again cancer. So some of the characteristics of cancer which we will use to distinguish between benign and malignant tumor. So let's begin with a few concepts here. One is contact inhibition. Contact inhibition means once a cell hits a wall, that wall could be another cell. That's the cue for that cell to stop growing. So let's say you have a wound, right? You had an incision, or let's say you have a you notice that when these cells heal from the inside out, they stop at a certain point. I mean, have you ever seen a wound when it grows? Um, what do you call that red tissue?
You talking about keloid?
No, no, no. That's a scar, but the healthy tissue in a wound. What do you call that again? No. Yeah, the one under the scar. The tissue, the normal tissue that looked like steak. What do we call that tissue again? Healthy tissue that's growing. Can't believe I'm getting old. Granulation tissue. My God, what's wrong with me? Okay, so have you ever seen granulation tissue grow up to the sky? No, it stops growing at a certain point. We call that contact inhibition. So normal cells have that property. When they hit something, when they hit a wall, that wall again is the wall, the cell wall of another cell. They stop growing. They stop dividing. Oh, that's it. I'm done. Okay, we're finished. That's contact inhibition. Cancer cells don't have that property. Even if they hit the wall, they'll climb over that wall and then go as far as they can go. Right? There is no contact inhibition in cancer cells. There is also apoptosis, meaning they do not have a pre-programmed cell death. In our genes, we're already destined to have this many years of life, and then we'll live and grow at a certain height. Cancer cells again do not have that. They have apoptosis, no limit, no cell death, no ending to them. They'll keep growing, they'll keep dividing. Another is anchorage dependence, meaning they can, right here, normal cells typically need to anchor to neighboring cells. They can plug into nutrient cellular matrix to remain viable. Cancer cells do not have that. So they will go beyond their existing location, not just their close neighbor. They'll go somewhere else. They'll continue to grow and tap nutrients from other areas of the body as well. So they not only will get blood and nutrients from their own blood supply, they'll command the body, in fact, to grow new blood vessels to feed it, meaning they will demand more blood flow to sustain them, and then as a result, because of that increased blood flow, they grow bigger, they grow faster. They also have, well, benign cells, meaning non-malignant cells, resemble the shape of the original tissue from which they mutated from. However, they have a larger nucleus to cytoplasm ratio. If you look at this figure 13.1, look at the size of and shape of the normal cells. The cytoplasm is significantly bigger in area compared to the nucleus. But look at the cancer cells. They have a much bigger nucleus or brain of the cell, making them more aggressive to divide and multiply. They also have a different shape. Look at these shapes here, for instance. If they have a different shape, which is what we call anaplasia, meaning unlike here where they have a distinct shape, a normal cell will have a distinct shape, they will look very different from a normal cell. So if they look different, like these guys here, they're basically changing shape already. So those are what we call anaplastic, or they have no distinct shape. Let's talk about metastasis. Metastasis has something to do with their adherence to tissue. Benign cells or non-malignant cells, although cancerous, have large nuclei. They are tightly adhered to where they are found. Meaning, let's say we're talking about a non-malignant breast tumor, they will stay in the breast tissue. They will not leave because they are tightly adhered. Not so with malignant cells. They are loosely adhered. So if you're loosely adhered, can you break off from the parent tissue? Yes, you can break off. So therefore you're free. Are you going to stay in the same place? No, you're going to ride the highway. You're going to take the arterial or the venous or the lymphatic system to go wherever you want and then set up camp somewhere else in the body. But it's important to know that the features of the cell remain the same. For instance, if this original tissue came from the breast tissue, which is mutated, here's a figure 13.2, figure 13.2. So again, they are loosely adhered, so they tend not to stay in one place. So they can now look at this bloodstream here. They can invade because they're loosely adhered. They're not tightly adhered, so they can break off from the original um, parent tissue, and they enter the bloodstream. From there, there's no limit to where they can go. They can go this way or that way, wherever, and wherever they're found, will they look different? So let's say this malignant breast tissue or cell enters the bloodstream and then ends up in the liver. Will it change its face once it reaches the liver? Will it change its face? It looks like
Yeah.
this, and then it rode the highway, it entered the bloodstream, or this could be the lymphatic system, entered a, I don't know, a lymph node or liver. For instance, they like the liver. Oh, I think I'll live here for now. And then the others, oh, there's too much of us here. I'll go to the brain. Okay, so some of them are in the brain. Will they look different when they travel fast somewhere? Let's say, Jesslyn,
Yeah.
you're a cancerous tissue. You go to Swedish and then later you go to BMCC. Are you gonna look different? You're still the same Jesslyn. How about these cancer cells? They look exactly the same. So since they look like breast tissue, so when they grow a tumor, they multiply, and then I take biopsies, right? I take a biopsy of this one. So there are tumors now from the breast, and then we found one in the liver, one in the brain, let's say one in the lung. So we want to find out what are these cancers. So I take a tissue sample from each one, put them all in the microscope, study them. They all look the same. They all look alike. How many cancers does this patient have? Only one cancer, which is now metastatic cancer, meaning we had one primary tumor. We'll know because what does the tissue look like? Does it look like breast tissue? Does it look like liver tissue? Does it look like lung tissue? Does it look like brain tissue? Since they look like breast tissue, where is the primary tumor? It's in the breast. But now, is it found only in the breast? No, it has decided to spread to the liver, the lung, and the brain. So again, how many cancers does the patient have? One. We'll be treating one cancer here. The patient has metastatic breast cancer, which has spread to the liver, the lung, and the brain. Understand the concept between primary and secondary? What if all four tumors are different cells? How many cancers does the patient have? All four are different. How many cancers does the patient have? Four
4.
types of cancer. Understood?
Mhm.
All right.
So the originating tumor is a primary tumor.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, what?
Secondary underground.
Yes. As long as they look the same. This is the same cancer we're talking about. If they're different, then they're different
Like,
cancers.
So if you have like liver cancer on its own, brain cancer on its own, that's two primary.
Yeah, you're just very unfortunate. Yeah, you're
But if
just
you have breast cancer and it goes separately, breast cancer.
they yeah, whichever tissue you get, if you look at them, they are exactly the same tissue.
That lands up like on the
Mhm.
liver and the brain.
Yep. Mhm. So it's important to explain that to the patient. I mean, you're not the doctor, but again, you are in a unique position because you're there 24/7. Plus, let's face it, Sheila, if you get a cancer diagnosis now, the doctor's explaining it to you. Are you gonna be receptive? Like, oh, tell me more, doctor. I want to know more. Tell me exactly what is this, and then can you tell me the plan? Okay, I'm ready. Are you gonna react that way? What are you gonna be thinking if you're told today you have cancer? You're gonna what? Is that the first thing in your mind, though?
I'm just gonna think, how long do I have before I die?
Are you gonna think about your job, your family, who's gonna wash the dishes tonight? Who's, what are you have children? Oh, who's gonna send your kids to school, right? Where are they gonna go, right? So that would be the first thing on your mind. Treatment and everything, that probably be no. I don't know when that will be. That's all you're thinking about. Oh no, what's gonna happen now? Do I still have a job? Can I still support my family? Right? So these are typical things. So that's why we're talking about these things, because even though the doctor's the one doing the diagnosis, you can give um, reinforcements. Okay, and then typically, of course, you experience a loss, right, when you're given a diagnosis like this one, because we automatically um, relate it to having pain, and then we're gonna die eventually when you can't get cancer. So that's, you're grieving pretty much, and we don't know how long people go through the grieving process, and the nurse is there. So when I'm ready, when I get to acceptance, the nurse is there, not the doctor, right? The doctor's not gonna hang around there in the room. Okay, any minute now there's gonna be acceptance. No, could be weeks or months, right? So, but the nurse is there. So you're allowed to explain these things. That way, when you're reinforcing pretty much what the doctor explained. All right. We will stop here, page 216. We'll continue next week. The quiz next week will only be up to Guillain-Barré and the thermoregulation problems. I will not include cancer yet. All right.
All right.
Hey, thank you.